Hey everybody, and welcome to Prop Live. It's Thursday. It's the Thursday before the Penny Arcade Expo, PAX Prime here in Seattle. And my costume is done, so I can do the show. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have. Anyway, Prop Live. This is our Q&A show that we do every week where we take your prop and costume making questions and answer them. This week, we were supposed to have Jordan from Henchman Props on. He's on his way to Seattle right now for PAX. However, his flight got changed and he won't be in until late tonight, unfortunately. So you guys are stuck with me and Shax. And I can't promise that Shax is going to be all that talkative, but maybe he'll help out a little bit. Anyway, basically it's just me this week, but I'm here and I'm going to be taking your questions and answering them. I should be able to pull it off, I think. Before we get started, I do want to catch you guys up on a whole bunch of stuff. Like I said, Jordan won't be here today, but maybe we'll catch up with him this weekend, which would be awesome. I've got, like I said, my Lord Shax armor here. The armor's all done. If you have any questions about the construction of this costume, feel free to throw it my way. I've got it, again, all done right here. I can show you all kinds of cool, neat things about it, including my Shax bling. Bling. I've got the Q&A app going. If you're watching live, the event page has the Q&A app. So submit your questions there, and they'll show up on my screen, and then I'll answer them. Again, any questions about Shax here, I'd be happy to answer those, along with anything else that you've got for me. What else? So like I said, PAX is this weekend, starting tomorrow, bright and early, which should be really fun. And DragonCon is the next weekend. So hopefully I will see many, many, many of you guys in the next 2 weekends. Couple of things. Let me find a thing real quick here. I've got a meetup on Saturday. So I plan to meet up for Destiny cosplayers. So if you're going to PAX and you want to meet up with all the Destiny cosplayers, if you have a costume, or if you don't, you just want to see all the super cool costumes, you can go to this thing here. I made an event, the PAX Prime Destiny Cosplay Meetup 2015. We already have 15 people going, which is amazing. And if you want to go see that, it's 4 p.m. on Saturday at PAX in the cafeteria in the second level. So if you go up the escalators, up the middle part, and go up to the second level, and then go all the way into the back to the cool cafeteria area there. We're going to meet up, take some photos of all of our wicked cool Destiny costumes, and have a really good time. Also for PAX, something else for you guys to look out for, among many other amazing things, I built the thing for Scott Kurtz from PvP Online. Scott got a hold of me a couple weeks ago and wanted a helmet made for his character Binwin Bronzebottom, who's a dwarf. I can relate. I like dwarves an awful lot. And I knocked this thing out really, really fast. He's going to be wearing it, I believe, for the Acquisitions Incorporated live D&D game that they do at PAX, which should be really fun. He's going to have a booth. This helmet will be at the booth. You can go check it out. You should go say hi, tell him that Bill sent you, and check out this cool, fun thing I made. So I got this guy here. I'm not going to wear it, get it all sweaty for Scott. I will. But that would be a mean way to deliver a prop to a client. Hey, here's a helmet I made for you. By the way, I wore it all day yesterday, and it's sweaty. What else? That's about it. I don't have any panels or anything at PAX. I'm going to be running around dressed up as this guy all weekend long. So if you're there, please come find me, and we will hang out. It should be awesome and fun. Yeah, what else is there? I got some questions from earlier. I'll start digging through those. And you guys start sending me tons of questions in the Q&A app. Just go nuts. Developing Cosplay is going crazy in the chat. Acquisitions, oh my God, yes. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch the Acquisitions Incorporated D&D games, you really ought to. They're a lot of fun. I believe they're archived somewhere. In fact, I will try and find those AI live shows. I'll try and find those and link them in the show notes later on. So there you go. Cool. I'm just going to start grabbing your guys' questions and answering them. So just start throwing them at me. We'll blow through this whole thing, and then I'm going to go eat dinner. This first question comes from Jeppy. JEPPE from Sweden. So hopefully I got your name right. Jeppy is new to prop and costume making and is currently starting on a second cosplay, which is going to be Juan from Ruby. And he's got a shield, I believe. Let's see here. Oh, they have this shield. So he sent me a picture. Oh, and of course I have to log into Dropbox to see it. Oh, no, there it is. There we go. So this shield sort of transforms. I think it like all the pieces slide behind one another to make just like a thin piece that pops out into a shield. So what Jeppy wants to know is, let's see here. They figured out the mechanics, but they're afraid that the grinding of the paint and the moving will like rub the paint off, and wondering what they can do. A couple of things. You could use durable paint. And enamels tend to be really, really durable. Just remember they take a long time to dry. So read the can and make sure that you give it at least a couple days to dry before you start sliding pieces over one another. Enamel paints tend to be better for that. And then the back side of your shield, the side that's going to be touching the front side of the painted side, you want to back that in something that's non-abrasive, like a really soft cloth, like a felt or a fleece or something like that. So if the pieces do rub against one another, it's not going to scratch it. It'll just slide over like some nice soft cloth. There are a couple of things for you to try. If you want to get really, really cool, you could use automotive paint, like catalyzed automotive paints. You do need like a HVLP sprayer, but if you put a clear coat of urethane catalyzed paint to seal it, it will not scratch. It's the same stuff they put on cars that keeps them from scratching. So there's another option. There would be a urethane clear coat, like 2K or something. I'll try and find a link for that and put it in the show notes. Cool. Oh, Developing Cosplay is linking my convention appearances page in the chat. I'm just going to bring that up because that's the thing that comes up every once in a while. People sometimes want to know, hey, Bill, can you come to my convention or a convention near me? And I say I totally can, but I can't go to all of them. It is really helpful if I get invited to them as a guest. So if you check out funishprops.com/convention-appearances, or if you just click on the link up there, it'll send you to a page that you can send to the organizers of your convention, and they will send me a message, and I can we can see if we can come to an agreement to get me out there, which would be awesome. For example, in a couple of weeks, I'll be going to Asia Pop Comic Con, and this is in Manila in the Philippines, which is crazy. I'm going to be going to the Philippines, where I'll be doing like panels, and I'll have a booth, and I'll be helping judge the costume contest and all sorts of other really cool stuff. So there you go. Go check that out if you'd like to get me to your convention. Right. Let's grab a question from the Q&A app. Need a beverage here. Matthew wants to know, is that the same Titan helmet you had at Emerald City Comic Con this year? Have you finished your Shaxx undersuit yet? This is the same helmet. I just repainted it. The same exact one. And then I added horns, and the horns I actually made removable. Boop. So I put a plastic slot in, like, I guess like a mortise and tenon thing, only with foam and plastic, so that the foam, I could probably use this helmet for other helmets because this is a common helmet shape in Destiny, and then just plug my Shaxx horns in like that. Or I can plug my Shaxx horns in upside down like that, which is actually kind of neat looking. Maybe when Shaxx gets drunk later, that's what it'll be. Same thing on the other side. I just unplugged that right there. Kept this whole thing modular so that, again, I can use it maybe for other costumes in the future. There you go, buddy. Have you finished your Shaxx undersuit yet? I'm wearing it, actually. I have just like an athletic shirt on right now. It's a little big on me. I got it on Amazon, so sizing is a little wacky. I'm thinking for this weekend, I'm just going to wear it as is, but I'll probably paint it a bit. I've got some tactical pants on. Clearly, you can't see them, but I promise they're down there. And I stitched on some Velcro to attach the thigh piece and the knee pieces, and that's kind of how that works. And again, they need to be a little bit modified. I think I'm going to paint them, but I'm, again, Probably not going to happen this weekend. I'll probably just run around as is at PAX and then modify it possibly for Dragon Con the next weekend. But yes, I have kind of finished it. All right, thank you for your question. Oh, Spicy Tie Design is in the chat and also in Seattle. That's Sanet, one of our regulars, and I hope he has a really good time this weekend. I'm sure we'll hang out a whole bunch. Let's see here. I want to grab this real quick. I have to scurry into the room. Fuzro Dave wants to know what weapon Shaq's going to have. I'll show you. It's in the room. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, everybody. All right. Boom. This is what I'm going to have. This is the, I think, Wizard 88 is the name of it. Fusion. What? 77. Thanks, Will. My shopmate, Will, over there made this, and he's letting me borrow it for PAX this weekend so I can have a gun. I've had a couple of hand cannons. They're all gone now. I believe I gave them away. So I'm going to get to bring this guy there, which is amazing. This thing looks really, really cool. And it's the color scheme's pretty close to Shaq's, which is kind of neat. And then for Dragon Con, I'm probably going to build something smaller, like maybe knock out another hand cannon and bring that with me to Dragon Con because it travels a little better than a giant fusion rifle. But that's what I'll have this weekend. Thank you, Fuzro Dave. Wish Upon a Star is glad I'm wearing pants. Well, you think I'm wearing pants. I could be lying. Next question from one of our regulars, Fearless Facade. Excuse me. I've decided on my next mask creation. It will be a Borderlands Psycho mask. He wanted to ask this one to Jordan. Unfortunately, Jordan is flying in the air right now, so he'll be able to answer, but I bet I can help you. He's wondering if you could get any tips on creating one from what he's learned from making his. How did you tackle the mouthpiece? I was thinking of using a CPU fan. I've seen a bunch of those done. So for the Psycho masks, let's see. Masks. I'll have links to all of these in the description. We have Jordan's. Who else does one? Eric Jarman from Jarman Props. And I believe he 3D printed the mask. I've actually painted one or two of his kits, and he 3D printed the fan part. The rest of it was sculpted. And then Steve, that's Gas Props. All three of those guys have done Psycho masks. They're all really great, and they all did them in different ways, so it's worth checking all of those out. I will say, though, if you want to just go for it, a CPU fan is a great way, cheap way to do it. In fact, you probably have a spare one lying around that you could cut up a little bit, maybe shorten the fan blades on it and stick it in there, and it'll get you most of the way there. I definitely recommend that. And as far as the construction of it, most people will sculpt out of clay using something like Monster Clay, which I'll link down below. Monster Clay from Monster Makers. And then they'll make a mold and cast copies of it. That's a pretty common way to do something like that. You could also probably do it with Pepakura, but a whole bunch of different ways to do it. There you go. Fearless Facade. Sorry, Jordan couldn't help you out there, but I'm sure if you bug him later on his page, then he will help you out. Let's see here. Oh, there we go. Next one. This one comes from Core Geek. He wants to know, just wondering what your overall impression is of the sealer and paint you used on Shaq. Shaq's. Yeah, Shaq. This is Shaq under here. All right, I'll let you give you guys a quick rundown on how I sealed and painted all of this armor. I have it. It's over there. I'm not going to grab it. The bare foam, it was all just floor mats. I just used normal floor mats. They're all hiding down here. Once the armor was all built, I sealed it using latex rubber. I got a pre-vulcanized latex. I'll try and find a link to that where I bought it. I can't remember exactly the description of it. Anyway, it's latex. It came in a 5-gallon bucket. It was almost like a pudding consistency, so it had to be diluted with distilled water so that I could brush or spray it. For this, I used my critter gun, Evil Ted's favorite thing and my new favorite thing, critter gun. Again, I'll link to that. And sprayed many layers of latex on the bare foam. Probably 5 good layers on there. And the trick really is to spray on enough so that you get good coverage, but not so much that it takes forever to dry. I did all this outside. It's been nice and warm, so it actually dried pretty fast. I tried to get it so that I would spray all of the pieces, and by the time I got done, the first one was mostly dry and ready to take the next layer. So I did that, sprayed lots of layers of rubber on here. And then once that was all dry overnight, it was ready for paint. And I tried a bunch of different stuff for the paint. I have, if they're right here, I had some test pieces, and you guys really got to do things like this when you, especially when you're trying new stuff. These are some shoulders that I made that ended up being too small. So I used them as test pieces to test out the rubber, to test out different ways of painting it. I wanted to test that. I took a whole chunk of the rubber off. I trimmed an area around it and peeled it off to see how it would work, to really get to try a bunch of stuff. So I used just like normal, what did I have here? My friends at ReevzFX use, what is it, ink, screen printing ink. So I got some of that and played with it, although I didn't quite have it figured out, so I didn't go with that for my final solution. I tried rubber cement paint, which is awesome. It binds, or it adheres to the rubber really, really well. The problem with that was I had a really hard time getting my mixture right so that I could spray it. So I ended up not going with that. Instead, I went with Angelus leather paints. It's an acrylic paint. Again, link in the description. But it's a really flexible paint. You can bend it really, really like a lot. The only downside is it doesn't fully adhere to the rubber. So a good example on the test piece here is the rubber. If I pull on the rubber and peel it off, the paint comes right off. The paint's just peeling right off like a dust. Now, what that means for my armor is if any pieces like take a ton of abuse, the paint will probably come off. We'll see. I'm going to wear it all weekend at PAX. We'll see if it wears off at all. We'll find out from there. I think in the future, I got to find a way to make that rubber cement paint work. Brushing it on, in fact, this part right here, this test piece, I brushed on some rubber cement paint, and sure enough, when I pull and stretch this rubber, the paint, I ripped the rubber, but the paint stretches with it. It's not coming off at all, which is amazing. But again, I couldn't get the sprayer down, and I was on a time crunch, so I just went with these acrylic paints. And I used my critter to just spray all of the acrylic paint right on there. So far, so good. It looks fantastic. It flexes really, really well. And we'll see how it stands up. I ended up sealing it. The Angelus paints come with their own sealers. They have a gloss one. They have a matte one, just like most stuff. I just sealed it with that. Again, we'll just see how it works this weekend. Hopefully, we'll see Eric at PAX. All right, next question is from Downtime Props. Hey, Bill, when making your matrix mold, did you add something between the fiberglass and the silicone to help them separate? I want to try a matrix mold on my Dragonbone greatsword that I'm making. Silicone only adheres to silicone. It does not adhere to anything else, so long as it's not like carpet. Like if it seeps into fibers and stuff, it'll bind in there and it won't separate. So you don't have to worry about putting anything in your matrix mold, in the mold jacket, to keep it from sticking to the silicone. The silicone won't adhere to it. However, if your jacket mold has any air bubbles in it, which mine did for the last one that I made, you want to fill those in with something like, I used Freeform Air. Freeform Air. It's a lightweight epoxy putty. You want to fill those in because if the silicone goes into those bubbles and cures that way, that'll create a plug that you got to like pull out, or it may rip out. So you do want to be aware of that. But other than that, you don't have to like use mold release or anything. The silicone won't stick to your fiberglass. So there you go. All right. This next one here comes from Matthew. I've been wanting to do one of those life casts in my head. Any tips on how to get around shaving off my beard and still making the head cast work? Also, do you know anyone in or around the greater Seattle area who can do it for them. I don't know anyone around here who would do it for you, but you might look at like the Art Institute in Seattle and see if they have a class on that, and if you can like volunteer to be a guinea pig for them to do it too, or get a bunch of friends to go on it together and help each other out working on it. That's what we did. As far as your beard is concerned, unfortunately, you're probably going to want to shave the beard at least down to stubble. They do make, I can't remember what it is, but they do make stuff to put in hair and beards and whatnot to keep cholesterol. There it is. That's why I keep Will around. Cholesterol, something like that. I will link to that into the description. You put that in your beard. That will keep stuff from sticking to it. But if you have a really lengthy beard, then you're going to be in trouble. I wouldn't go any longer than what I've got here, encasing it in alginate or silicone. So there you go. Beard world problems, man. Next question here comes from Joe. Hey, Bill, do you prefer a low or high temperature hot glue, and when do you use it? I have my hot glue here because I just emptied this thing, these giant hot glue sticks. And these are high temperature ones. Mostly because they won't melt when you don't want them to. I believe I have a little one. I have a tiny hot glue gun around too, and that's also high temperature. I just prefer to do that. If you leave low temperature hot glue in the sun, it could melt, and I just don't want to take that chance. So I just use the high heat stuff. Thanks, Joe, for your question. Here we got another regular. It's Sam from Bio Cosplay. Sam says, I would like to make a logo and watermark for my page and pictures. Did you make the logo for your website? And if so, how did you go about doing so? Let's look at my logo. Punishedprops.com. Yeah, I did it. I helped, or a friend of mine helped me, though. I have a bunch of friends who are creative, awesome people. So I went to one, my buddy Bo, who's just a wizard at design and drawing and all that. So this little tiny little logo here. In fact, I have it on my phone. Let's do that. So I gave him some ideas, concepts, really. I just said I wanted something that I didn't want it to be anything. I wanted it to be kind of abstract. I didn't want any letters in it or words. I just wanted a neat looking little thing that I could stamp on stuff. And he threw a whole bunch of concepts at me. I picked my favorite from there. He refined those. We went back and forth for a couple of days until I found something I really liked, and then I tweaked it a little bit, and we ended up with the final thing. If you really want to get that sort of done, look at websites like Fiverr. I think it's like Fiverr. I'll find it with 2 R's. Fiverr. Logo design. Look at this. Boom. First thing, logo design. Go there, starting at $5, and someone can go here. Look at all these cool little logos. Someone will help you do that. So you can totally, if you're not great at graphic design, I understand. I'm not great at it either. You can totally go have someone else do that for you, which is can be a lot better, a lot easier on your time. You spend your time building props. Have someone else make you a logo. Thank you, Sam. I can't remember if Sam's going to be at PAX or not. I think he is. Let's go to Sam's page. Let's go to Bio Cosplay. Bio Cosplay. Oh, I think he's going to Dragon Con, actually. Yeah, I'll see him at Dragon Con. Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Sam. Next one comes from Braxton. There's a speck on my monitor. Oh, it's in there forever, isn't it? That's fine. I'm relatively new to prop making and making in general. How do you start with this, and how do you have any? Do you have any tips to expand a new prop maker skills? I've been told that to start with cardboard. You start, yeah. Starting with cheap materials is a really good idea. I would start with foam. All this, got all this stuff here. This foam floor mats are really cheap, and the great thing about these is all you need is a sharp knife. You don't need a lot of tools. You don't need a lot of materials. Just get glue barge cement or DAP contact cement, a knife, and some foam, and just cut things apart and glue them together. You really start to understand how to put pieces together and make complex forms. That's a really great place to start, and it's really, really cheap to start that way. Sam in the chat is confirming he will be at DragonCon. Awesome. Boop. Yeah, so there you go, Braxton. Start with cheap materials that require few tools and just start figuring out how to turn those materials into things that you want to build. And then just iterate, just keep plugging at it and keep getting better. And yeah, really, like the skills, the prop maker skills that you talk about is turning a flat piece of material into a three-dimensional thing that you want. And that learning process and that problem-solving process is prop making. You'll just get better at it over time the more you do it. Thank you for your question. Next one here comes from another regular. This is Old Gamer's Rule. My question is, have you had much use of Arduino to do multitasking? I want to use one to drive LED sequences and sound files at the same time. Any tips? I don't know much about electronic microprocessing and all that sort of stuff. However, there are a couple of communities out there that can help you out, like Adafruit and Sparkfun. There's a couple for you to check out. Adafruit, ADAFRUIT, and Sparkfun. Look either of those up, and they have stuff. You can buy stuff. You can get beginner kits for Arduino, where they'll send you a little kit and like a whole bunch of practice projects to try out. That's a great place to start. That's something I should do, seems like. Although I bought a beginner Arduino kit about 5 years ago, and I never used it. But someday I'll get back into it. Thank you. Old Gamer's Rule. Matthew wants to know. Oh, in the chat here, props fan 69195 in the chat wants to know, how can I ask a question? If you go to the event page, I'll link it in the chat there. You can ask a question, and it'll show up on my screen in the event page, and I will answer it as long as we get to it. You guys are sending me a whole bunch of questions. Matthew wants to know, I wanted to thank you for posting the Alloy Bow PDF from the Horizons game. Oh yeah, the new Horizon whatever robot dinosaur hunting game. They posted their own like cosplayers reference kit, which is amazing. Like tons of really great references for their characters. I love seeing more and more video game companies doing that. Do you have any tips for making the plastic look like wood for the large wood part? Yeah, adding texture can really transform plastic into what it is, or from what it is into something else. So with wood, you could carve in wood grain using like a Dremel tool. Look at references of wood and try and replicate that texture. More than anything, more than the color, more than the shape, the texture is going to sell that as wood more than anything. And then once you paint it, whatever your wood color is, like a brown color, do some washes over it with some darker browns and some blacks to bring out that texture even more to help really sell it as wood. And again, just look at reference pictures of wood and try and copy those. Thank you, Matthew. All right, next one comes from Tanith Lord. First off, can I say thanks? I'm reading the ebook to help me make a cosplay for the weekend. All right, yeah, Foamsmith. I was wondering if you had a quick and dirty way to make a drop leg holster for a Nerf pistol and a LARP knife. Drop leg holster. I'm not sure what that is. Is it like a hip holster? Yeah. In fact, I just looked up drop leg holster on Google, and look at this. You can buy all kinds of them. This one's $18.95. Militaryclothing.com. For some of that stuff, it might be best to just go buy one if you can find it. What is this? Oh, it's such cool crap. Officer store. neat looking thing. Or go and see how they're made and try and make your own using nylon webbing. In fact, I have a giant roll right here of 3/4 inch wide nylon webbing, I think from Strapworks, strapworks.com. And this stuff here you can cut apart and change into lots of different like strapping systems to go around your leg. You can also do the same for elastic. It's around here somewhere. I have a big roll of 3/4 inch elastic as well, and all of the hardware for it, snaps and buckles and all that stuff. So that I can make harnesses for costumes. I can strap all of my armor on together using those elastic and nylon webbing straps. You could do the same thing to make your holster. You can make it all out of strapping if you want, maybe a little bit of cloth or foam to bulk out some areas. But that's how I would do it. But definitely just look at ones that exist and see, to kind of try and figure out how those are made. And then, of course, copy them. That's all I do. I just see how things are made, and then I copy them. Oh, we got a message here from my buddy Kevin. He says, is the Pulse Loft still the best way to find you and Britt at DragonCon for the most part? Or are you guys hanging out elsewhere or nowhere in particular? Looking forward to seeing you both in a week. Looking forward to seeing you too, Kevin. Kevin is the nicest guy at DragonCon. Pulse Loft, yeah. So if you go to DragonCon and you go to the Marriott, where it's the cool center building with the giant atrium, there's the Pulse Bar and the Pulse Loft, and usually we end up hanging out at the Pulse Loft in the evening. Other than that, I'll be running around dressed up as this Yahoo for the most part. I have a couple panels that I'll be on. I think 3 panels. I'll post a schedule to that sometime next week once I have it all figured out. I'm doing a panel with the guys at Jump Kick Punch, actually. I will put a link, JKP, if you look up jumpkickpunch.com. Go to their website and check out their awesome podcast. Doing a live podcast with them. That should be really fun. And I'm doing some for the podcasting track with some of my buddies over there. But yeah, I'll be running around in costume. I'll be at the Pulse Loft in the evening, and I'll be doing some panels. So look for me at DragonCon. Look for Kevin. Let me find a picture of Kevin. Kevin, where are you? Kevin, this is what I want to find a picture of Kevin so that everyone else knows what to look for. Let's find a good one. And I got to get a good one with the shield. I don't know who he's standing next to, but here you go. There's Kevin. Kevin with this super cool shield that I made for him. So go find him at DragonCon and go say hi and tell him I sent you. All right. Next question. Valor Prop says, what's Will working on? Well, Will is working on his own costume for DragonCon. And let me see. WM Armory. See the picture he just posted recently. Oh, what is this? It's purple. It's purple and it has the word Saint in it. Could it be from Saints Row? Could it be? It is. He's making a costume from Saints Row. That's going to be awesome. And purple. So that's what Will is working on. And he's made a ton of progress in the last couple of days. It should be done soon. So keep an eye out. WM Armory. All right. Next question comes from Monica. Let's see here. When you have Bondo that doesn't have a contrasting color cream hardener, have you ever tried using a little food coloring or something similar so you can see more easily that the Bondo is completely mixed? I haven't thought of doing that. I don't know if food coloring will mess with the chemistry. Probably not. But I have used it before where it's like a light colored Bondo and like a white cream hardener. And I just mix it a lot. And it has always worked. I don't really worry too much about whether or not it's integrated. I do like when the catalyst and the resin are different colors. So, for example, with silicone, good example. You'll have the silicone is white, and the stuff that you mix in is a different color, like blue or pink, so that you can tell when it's fully integrated when you clean or when you mix them up. But maybe the food coloring thing will work too if you need it. Here we go. We got a question from Solano. On Shax, what did you use to attach the shoulders and the thighs? The shoulders here, and I can show you, there are these straps under all this wonderful fur. Let's see here. Let's see, how did I actually do that? I haven't taken them off in a while. Oh, make sure I don't destroy them. All right, so the shoulder underneath there has a bit of Velcro, and there's a strap that just, no, shucks, head. Fortunately, it's indestructible. There we go. Let's turn this around. There's a little flap of the other side of the Velcro just hanging off of my shoulder piece here. So all I have to do is just pop that on there. Boop. Just like that. And that's how the shoulder stays on. I didn't even put straps around the arms. He doesn't have them in the game. So I didn't bother. And they just hang on my shoulders just fine. So I'm not worried about it. The thigh piece, he only has one thigh piece. And I have a piece of Velcro on that I stitched to my my pants. So there's a piece of Velcro there, and then I put Velcro on the back of the thigh piece so it sticks there. And then it's got these wings that go around the side, and I put a piece of elastic there that clips around my leg. It just holds it tight there. So it's two things holding it to my leg. There's elastic and there's Velcro. So it stays up and snug. Up and snug. I play bass for up and snug. All right. Thank you, Solano, for your question. Next one here, Tanith Lord has another question for us. In regards to Sparkfun, they are fantastic. If you email them telling you what you want to do, they will send you all the parts you need. That's awesome. That's great. I need to do that. Also, I'm using Forgotten Dreams latex, but it seems sticky to the touch. Any hints to help prevent this? I don't have a lot of experience with many different types of latex. I've only really used the one kind. I will say, even once it was fully dry, it still felt a little, like had a little bit of a tack to it. That went away when I painted it. And same thing with the paint. The paint actually stayed kind of tacky for a while, for like a day or two, and it still kind of has a little bit to it, but it seems perfectly durable. The main thing with the latex is if you have two pieces that you put the latex on and they touch while the latex is not fully dried, they will rip apart. And that happened on a couple spots. On the belt here, like by accident, it's going to be really hard to see. I brushed more latex over the top of it. But once the latex is fully dry and the pieces touch, they may like stick a little bit, but they're not going to rip each other apart. That's when you know that it's dry. That's, again, a good reason to have many test pieces around. These pieces I sprayed with latex at the same time as I did everything else so that I could test stuff out. There you go. Thanks for your question. This next one is from Foos Road Dave. He says, have you fixed the whole not being able to see thing in the helmet, or is it just a small hole in the middle? You know what? This is the question I get every time I post a picture of me in this helmet. Phil, how do you see? How do you see? Nope. There's no problem. Look, there's a tiny hole in there. That little black area, it's kind of hard to tell. There's a little hole, and there you go. Anyway, it's hard to tell because it is a tiny hole. But I put it on like this. There's my thing. And yeah, it's really hard to see. I have to use like one eye and just sort of tilt my head and look out, and I can navigate basically. But also, this thing is freaking warm. I'm going to have like a hood on so that my neck and everything is covered. So what I'll do is just walk around the convention, and then if someone says, hey, Bill, can I get your picture? I'll be like, yeah, let me just do this. Problem solved. And that's how I'm going to do it, because these visors that they designed for Destiny are unreasonable. So yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. I do have just a tiny bit of visibility to get around, but other than that, I just take the helmet off. And I'm going to want to take it off anyway. I had this whole getup on earlier today, and I just stood there just sweating. It's going to be that kind of weekend. Another question from Braxton. How often do these streams stream? Any set dates? Often or whenever you get a chance. Prop Live happens every week for 1 hour on Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We do it just about every week. In fact, we probably missed one recently, but we do them pretty consistently. So every week, Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There you go. Next one comes from Irina, here's your question. Hey there, I'm making Shaq T, a Jedi, and she has a big head piece, and I don't know the better way to do it. Let me look that character up because I'm a bad Star Wars fan and I don't know who it is. I'll look at Twi'lek. Oh no, this is she's in Clone Wars, I think. Losing points. Here we go. Yeah, this big alien creature head. That could be really challenging. Creature sculpts aren't really my thing. I can tell you whose thing they are. Frank Ippolito is a sculptor and mold maker. Although he does like horror stuff, but he would do something like that. He could knock out in no time flat. Also, Sean ReevzFX. He does like Batman cowls, like more smooth type stuff. That would be right up his alley too. So I'll have links to their pages in the description. ReevzFX. But for something, if you wanted to do like a real super awesome sculpt of that, you would sculpt it out of clay, make a mold, and then cast it out of something like latex or silicone or something like that. Or you could do it all out of foam, like cut it out of upholstery foam and then cover it in latex. That's one other way you could do it. You could even do something like that out of cloth and stuff it with like whatever you make pillows out of, just to get it pretty close to that shape, and then paint it or even stitch it together. You might see what other people have done as well, but there's a bunch of different ways to do that sort of thing. Let's see the rest of the question. I want to do the skin with a piece of fake white stretchy leather, but I don't have a clue what would be the best way of doing the inside. Yeah, lots of different ways of doing it. Definitely check out the sculptors I mentioned. Molding something like that big would be really, really challenging though. So you may just carve it all out of upholstery foam, like that squishy stuff, and then coat it in something. Hey, holy cow, look at all that.
I need help putting my shoulders
Britt
on.
needs help putting her shoulders on. You guys, be patient for just one moment. Where does this attach? Is there a strap?
No, it's a snap.
Oh, I see. It's hiding under there.
You don't want to know how many snaps are on here.
There's that.
Then it goes right there. It goes underneath it.
Underneath the elbow.
Yeah.
All right. Come on, Schwartz. I presume we're going to be helping each other in and out of our
I did the rest of
weekend.
this myself. I just did it in the wrong order, I think.
There we go.
All right, that side.
And the other one. This was in our wedding vows, I think, right?
Thou shalt help each other strap on armor.
Yep.
Fits for cosplay.
Oh, yeah. Certainly.
There we go.
There you go.
Look at that.
It's working on her Vex costume.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's pretty cool.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
Hi, chat. How's it going? Oh, sorry I haven't been hanging out. I've been so busy.
Yeah.
I've been sewing on snaps all day. That's got some good shoulder bulk to it.
Yeah,
I like
it does.
The color is perfect too.
That's outstanding. Yeah, that shine looks great on the camera.
Yeah, you can move my arms. We've been experimenting a lot with those big snaps, clothing snaps, so I can rotate my joints because there's just a snap here and a snap here.
Here, I'm going to sneak in and I'll show them.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of those on mine as well. These guys here, just snaps from like Joann's. They also, in fact, I'll put a link in the show notes to them. Big snaps. We got a whole bunch of these guys on Amazon, but they come apart into two pieces. So you have the two snap pieces there, and then they just snap together like that. So you sew one on to one side of your armor, you sew another one onto your undersuit or like a strap or something, and you can just snap it on. That's how that works. Wish Upon a Star says, looking good, Britt. I agree. And then Developing Cosplay is linking me a thing. Oh, from the previous question. Cool. From Shock T. Vex sneaking around behind me. Oh, that's outrageous. And you got your giant gun.
Pew pew. I like how creepy I look behind Shax.
Yeah, this is really creepy.
This is gonna be ridiculous.
That is.
All right.
You're outrageous.
Next, I have to make the head strap, so I'm gonna go do that.
Okay. Tanith Lord wants to know how many snaps. Any idea?
16.
16? At least 16. All right. All right. Next question. We got just over 10 minutes here. Matthew wants to know, how do you test regular acrylic paint over the latex? If so, how did it fare? If not, how do you think it would fare over the latex base? Most acrylic paints are pretty flexible. The leather paints I used are really flexible, and I know that because I've used them before, and they're designed to be that way, to take a lot of abuse. I didn't test any other acrylic ones. I just went straight with the leather ones because I had a bunch of them on hand. But again, I mean, it pays to have these small test pieces to try out a bunch of different stuff. Sorry, a piece of Shaq's fur just went into my nose. Oh, Costas wants to know what type of fake fur did I use. I can't remember. I'll have to find a link and put it in the show notes. I can't remember what we used for here to get Shaq's fur. It's pretty good stuff, and it was cheap. It is all fake fur. I will say that where it separates, you can see the cloth part that holds it. So I sort of tucked it under and folded it, and I kind of have to style it. It's a little wacky, but it was fairly cheap. I do know that like Joann's has a pretty good selection as well. That's where I got the fur for this. This is actually tighter. The fur is tighter, so I don't see the thing underneath it. The cloth that holds it underneath it. Lots of fake fur options out there. Right. This one's from Cameron. I would like to know if you have any tips to weather black clothing to look like it's been well worn. Actually, I'm glad you pointed that out. In fact, I have a photo that I posted on Twitter /chinbeard. This is how Will likes to weather stuff. If I can find the picture. Yeah, there it is. Boop. Yeah, he put his black outfit on and then rolled down the driveway. And he got dirt and dust all over his black outfit. I'm probably going to do something similar because my pants and my shirt, like these are way too clean. Probably do something similar to that. You can also use just acrylic paints or fabric paints, put them in a spray bottle, water it down. You can spray it onto your costume and just sort of mess it up a whole bunch. Or maybe like fold or clump up your costume a bunch and then spray it on there and then flatten it out and do that a couple of times to get a little color on the highlights and stuff. But just acrylic paints or fabric paints, which are usually acrylic, in a spray bottle. And then if you have anything specific you want to do for weathering, you can just use a brush. But yeah, just like light browns and stuff, things that add more contrast to your darker black clothing will help out a whole bunch. Thank you, Cameron. This one's from Oriole. I'll do a slush cast soon. Do you have any advice for newbies on figuring out how much resin to use and how many layers to put and so on? Usually when you're slush casting, like you don't have to get the whole thing. So let's say this helmet, the inside of this, I was slush casting it. I don't have to cover the whole surface with the first go. So, guess low, like don't overdo it. If you do overdo it, then you may end up with one part of the mold having a big hunk of resin in there, and that's annoying. So guess low, add a little bit of resin, slush it around. If it was too much, you could even dump it out. But if it's not enough, then next time have a slightly larger batch. And you're going to have to cycle a couple of pulls through your mold before you really understand how much you're going to use, how many layers you should do. 4 or 5 layers with something like 65D, smooth cast 65D, are usually enough to get a good thick, like 1/8 inch thick shell. But again, it really depends on how you do the slush casting. Temperature and all that stuff can play a part. So you're going to have to try a couple, like our Dragon Priest mold. I think we were looking at that particular mold as 30 or so pulls out of it, and they're not all winners. You're not always going to get a perfect pull out of it. So play and learn and take notes too. Take notes on how much resin you used and your technique and everything. And good luck as well. Let's see here. Okay, and this one's from Patrick. Hey Bill, how do you color the latex? Are there any special pigments? You can pigment your latex, and there's this particular. If you look up latex pigment, like on Amazon, you'll find a bunch of stuff. There's stuff I was told called universal pigment. I'll try and find a link to that for the description. Universal colorant, I think was how I found it listed. And you can put that into latex. I've also been told you can just put acrylic paint into the latex. You might do some tests beforehand. And what is it that Evil Ted uses? Let's see here. I know that Ted likes to pigment his latex too. I did not. This stuff comes out pretty transparent. But Evil Ted pigmented his stuff too. So look, Evil Ted pigment latex video. There we go. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. Yeah, you can definitely pigment it. In fact, if I had been thinking ahead of time and I got some, I would have loved to have pigmented this latex to be white. That way I could spray the latex on and have a base coat on everything that was white, and then I wouldn't have to paint the white layer. I could just do the orange and black. That would have been awesome. I didn't do that, but next time I will. There you go. Thank you, Patrick, for your question. We got one more here in the Q&A app, unless you guys send a couple more to me. Let's see here. Cameron wants to know, this is what he's trying to make. Let me copy and paste that and see if I can open it here. I believe he was trying to weather this, right? So this is the assassin alien thing. So what you see is that it may not really be weathering. It's just contrast. Because if you just have a black outfit on, you just see black. And there's not a lot of contrast. So what they've done is probably like some dry brushing on all the highlights, even on the cloth. You can totally do that. Just use like a light or a medium gray on a paintbrush that's almost dry, just a little bit of paint, and just sort of scuff the paintbrush on the high areas, on the costume, on the cloth. And that way you have those areas of lightness and dark that creates that interesting looking contrast that points out all of the different textures and stuff on your costume. You'll have to do a little playing. If you have some spare cloth, like crumple it up and like do some testing on that to try and get your technique down. But contrast is really what you're trying to go for with that. Contrast, lights and darks. That's about it. We have 5 minutes left here, and there are no more questions in the Q&A app. So unless you guys have some to throw at me, I may go have dinner. Or if you have anything to throw at me in the chat. I will, quick reminder before we get out of here. PAX is this weekend, starts tomorrow. I'll be there all weekend long. Look for me in my Shax costume. Look for Brittany in her Vex costume. Not doing anything except farting around in costume. So look out for us at 4 p.m. on Saturday in this level 2 in the back by the cafeteria. We're going to have a Destiny costume meetup. That'll be going on. Ooh, a couple more questions here. Cameron says, thank you very much for the help. You're welcome, Cameron. Good luck with your costume. What else do we have here? Braxton wants to know, how is it working with other famous cosplayers and makers like Adam Savage, Evil Ted, and the like? I'll tell you what, it's pretty awesome. Not just because like Harrison Cricks is a really good buddy of mine. He's easily one of the best prop makers out there on the internet. Not only my experience has been, not only are so many of these people like my buddy Jordan, who is flying in and will be here this weekend, an amazing maker, wonderful, really, really good maker, but also just a great guy, just an awesome dude I want to hang out with. A really nice, really helpful person. And everyone, including people like Adam Savage, people who you would think just don't have the time to interact with people, do. Like Adam totally does. Whenever he can, he'll go out of his way to help people out. and interact with fans and other makers and share the knowledge. And that dude has a lot of it. So it's been fantastic. Evil Ted is another good example. I got to work with him down in LA last month. Oh, holy crap. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. Lawbreakers video game. There's a new video game coming out called Lawbreakers. And Cliff Bleszinski and Boss Key are making it. And they have a commercial. Holy crap, I have to put there'll be a link to the video, the trailer. That's what it's called. Lawbreakers trailer. And this is it right here. They had a reveal trailer, and I got to work on this project. So here it is. The characters here. So these characters, I was working with Evil Ted down in Frank Ippolito's shop, and I helped out with these suits. So the helmets are CG, and the big gun is CG, but everything else was foam fabricated outfits. All of these outfits here. Whoops. And I actually didn't do any of the foam fabrication. Wait, where is it? Boop. Oh, it's hard to tell. There's a gun there that I did all the work on, or a bunch of the work on. I did like some of the lighting. I did a whole bunch of the painting on the outfits, like the little light. See the little light right there? I totally did that. Anyway, look up the new Lawbreakers video game. I hear they're going to have a thing at PAX, so I'll be checking it out. And Frank and Ted and my buddy Steve Meisner from Solo Roboto and a whole bunch of other people got to work on those costumes, and they turned out great. And the trailer looks pretty freaking awesome. So yeah, so far, Braxton, my experience working with other makers, even especially like the more famous ones, has been incredible. Really, really cool. The chat's going crazy. I don't know what's going on there. Thanks for, oh, cool. One more. We'll take one more good question. Let's see here. Oh, here, this will be a good one to end on. Nick, my buddy Nick wants to know, are you and Britt going to be at BlizzCon this year? Yeah, we are. Totally. Got our tickets and everything. Got our hotel room situated. We'll be there for sure. Still don't know what I'm going to make a new costume. I don't know what it'll be. We'll see. You'll see. I hope. There you go. That's it. Thank you, Nick. And thank you, everyone else, for bringing your questions to the show. You guys are awesome. Again, being at PAX this weekend. I don't know if we'll have a show next weekend because I'll be flying out to Dragon Con. Maybe we'll do one earlier in the week. We'll see. So stay abreast. Keep abreast. Breast abreast. And we will, if not next week, the week after that, I'm flying to Manila. No, I'll be in Atlanta. Things are getting crazy, you guys. I can't keep track of all this. Anyway, thank you, everyone, for showing up to the show, and we'll see you again really soon. Bye, everyone.